What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Behind the Glass Sports Podcast. We thank you guys for tuning in on Snowmageddon, but I'm not.
Wait, is it snowing over where you are yet?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I'm
It's like
very hesitant about this. I don't think we're gonna get as much as we're thinking, but you never know.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of times though where they've said biggest snowstorm in blah 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 many years, and it rained, and I'm like,
That's what it's.
oh
doing
hey,
over
look,
here.
the sun is
Rain.
out.
Yeah, that's what it's doing. It's literally, it's like rain right now, and there's nothing on the ground. And I even worked from home yesterday. My job was like, okay, we're sending you guys home to prepare for this. And I woke up and I was like, well, Thursday, was it Thursday? Thursday, I was like, Thursday as I was leaving work, I was like, if it's not terrible to start, I'll come into work, because they were like, it should come like Friday night. And I was like, okay, I'll probably come into work. And then once I slept in and woke up at 7, I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay home today. And then there was no snow. And I was like, weird. And then I woke up today and I looked out my window and I was like, weird. No snow again. All right.
No, we're
But
supposed to get dumped on tonight, apparently. So we'll see.
allegedly.
We'll see.
I imagine as soon as this podcast is done and I decide whether I want to go buy a new phone charger or go get mine from work, it will immediately start like the next ice age. So that's what I fully expect. So so thank you guys for joining us on this Saturday. If you have some time to listen to us, we're going to break down George Payton going to the GOAT Trey Lance's pro day. There was no mention of Zach Wilson, probably because he's like the 57th ranked quarterback in this class.
Or
so
it's already been said
make
he's being
sense.
taken number 2 overall. I mean,
Fake news. Not sure that was ever said. We'll even see if he gets drafted. He might go undrafted.
you gotta stop this. You can't just hate him because I like him.
You know what? You're right. He's gonna go top 10 in the 7th round. That's where I think he will be. That's where I have him rated on my big board, is top 10 in the 7th round. Pick number 709. Is there 709 picks? I think there's only like 200 something picks.
Yeah, it's 30 per team, 7 rounds.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even
30,
trying that.
30
math,
per round,
so.
not 30 per team. 30 per team, you might actually be right around 700.
30 draft picks per team. Then the Broncos might turn around their draft history if they could draft that many. The odds would be in their favor.
Yeah, it'd be like, a normal team taking 7 players.
Right. Yeah. Right. Except, the Broncos just need extra help. But we're going to talk about that. Peyton, Trey Lance's pro day. See what we think about that. Drew Lock's. We haven't talked about it since last week, but Drew Lock's comments Tim Patrick's comments about Drew Lock. Did you see those quotes?
No, I haven't.
About Drew Lock is 100% different. He's the first guy in and last guy out. He's essentially implying that he's doing things this year that he hasn't been doing. So love that. So we can talk about that a little bit, and of course we can talk some Nuggets and. Post All-Star break, it was a rough one in the grindhouse. It seems like every game in Memphis is just like pulling teeth to survive there.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if they're a good team, bad team.
I'm glad that Jamal Murray sat out to heal up and
here it is.
Get his whatever was bothering him. Health. Oh wait, no, he played. Oh, I didn't. He played 32 minutes. Was he actually on the court for those 32 minutes, or was he in the stands watching? I watched the game. I don't remember seeing him out there.
You didn't have to do this. Just last week, you were like, "Oh, Jamal Murray! I told you." This little window. He just had to Jokic, same thing, and now you're like, "Oh,
no."
Jamal
look,
sucks.
Look, he's allowed to have a bad game. Hopefully, he decides to play tonight.
I think. Are they playing tonight?
Yeah, they play Dallas tonight.
It's a back-to-back?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, they do play tonight. Last night, typically I tweet during Nuggets games, and I vent my life during Nuggets games and how I'm feeling in the moment. And you'll notice there was not one Jamal Murray tweet at all, because last night, as he was having I think he finished 1 of 13.
No, 1 of 14. 1 of 14, 1 of 5 from 3, 3 points, 5 assists. He did have 2 steals.
Look at it. He was a plus 9.
He was a plus 9, though. That's the weird thing. And Jokic was a minus 3. So it's
Plus minus is the worst stat ever.
it is. It's when Will Barton was a plus 15, so that tells you all you need to know about the
And
plus minus.
Will early in that game,
But
he was like 2 of 6, and
he played well, especially in the fourth. Will Barton in the fourth
yes,
was
later in the game,
awesome.
but
2
early in the
steals.
game, there was 3 possessions in a row where Will was like, "Me, Brucey time, I'm shooting." And okay, I have to say this too. I don't know if you noticed this,
Well, when Jamal
but
doesn't show up, someone else has to. Uh,
sure. Well, and MPJ showed up, and
Yeah,
goodness gracious,
MPJ is
he's looking so good. But did you notice this on the broadcast? Like, look, before I say it, did you notice anything odd about the broadcast last night?
I watched the game, but I didn't listen. I
Oh,
just
okay.
had it
Well,
on
then
my
you would have
computer and I
noticed.
was watching, but I don't a lot of sports games, I don't listen to the commentary. I can watch a sports game without volume. Like if someone told you that you have to go the rest of your
What
life
is wrong
with
with
no
you?
volume up on any sports game, I'd be fine with it. I'd be okay. I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I don't mind watching games without volume. Half the time they annoy you anyway, so why do you want to listen to that crap?
Who watches a game in silence?
I think it's because so you've been to my parents' house.
Yeah.
How they have 2 TVs up. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times when we were watching sports, like my dad and I, it was on the second TV, and the other TV was playing something else that had the volume up. And so I think I got used to watching games without audio because we couldn't because the sports game had to be on the second TV and whatever. So I think that's why. And honestly, a lot of times I just get annoyed with. I was watching the CU game last night. I don't know if you watched the CU game at all. I
No.
listened to that game for about 5 minutes. I had to turn it off. I had to turn the volume. The color commentator, my God, he was. I don't want to say he was bad. He was just really annoying, like really annoying. So, anyways, yeah, I don't really
Yeah.
mind
No.
watching with
Not
sound
not
on.
buying any of it. You're just weird. That's just weird. You don't like chocolate. You watch games without sound. You're starting to reach the checklist. I think that's checkbox number 7 of is your friend a serial killer? So we're getting close to where I might have to report you to the feds at some point. Okay, so I'm just letting you know that. But anyways,
That's on the
on the
list.
broadcast last night, some arenas for whatever reason, I don't know if they have like mics specially placed somewhere around the hoop or the rim, but some like Dallas in particular. The swish in Dallas is so like steroid level.
No,
Like it is
I
aggressive.
noticed that on one of the Nuggets games before the break, but it was in Pepsi Center and I or not Pepsi
Okay.
Center, Ball Arena, whatever.
Yeah.
Pepsi Center. But it
Yeah,
was
some
really
arenas,
loud. It was like
yeah,
when it hit the
it's
rim.
aggressive.
You know how like back like in when March Madness was going on like 5 years ago, and it was like the rim was really loud. I think it still is a lot of times, and it's like it sounds cheap. It doesn't sound like the NBA rim. Well, the NBA rim now sounds like that. So I don't know what they changed, but it doesn't sound good.
Well, that's what I was saying. Last night, Memphis is anytime someone missed a shot last
Yeah,
night,
it's like,
it was
dong.
an aggressive dong.
Yeah,
And I was like, goodness.
yeah.
Like
It's like they
when
put double
Will,
rims. Remember the double rims in parks?
oh, first off, whoever does that, like, fight me. Whoever thought to make a double rim, fight me. Because
But that's what it
the
sounds
amount of
like.
buckets I should have had in middle school, if it weren't for those double rims, oh, anyways, the misses last night were so aggressive. Like I noticed it when Will kept because there was those 3 possessions where he shot 2 threes and he shot like a fadeaway, and it was just like boom, and I was like, golly, is he just shooting at that, or is it just like oh my? But no, every miss was just like, and then when Jamal would shoot, I was just like, it's brutal that he's going 1 of 74, but to hear it go thud and it shakes the arena. I was like, do they have like mics there, or do they have like a guy just specially with the 2 buttons and like swish thud, and he just has to time it like thud, boom, yeah, I got it again. Like I'm just like, why is this so aggressive? That's just all I had to say. It was just
Yeah, yeah.
it was just something real weird.
I noticed that when they were at home, though. So I think it's every arena they're doing something, or it's Altitude's broadcast. because I don't know if I hear it on
But
TNT or ESPN.
it's not on every broadcast though. For outs, I don't know. And
I
specifically in Dallas is when I know the swishes are
Okay,
aggressive.
I noticed it the game before. So whatever game that was that Denver played in at home, their last home game is when I noticed it. Because
Um,
I remember I was like, "Where are they?" And then they were at yeah,
Washington was the last home game.
yeah. Because I was watching the game and I was like, "Where are they in Washington? Why is Washington's rim sound like that?" And then I looked, I was like, "Wait, they're at home. Why does their rim sound terrible?" But yeah, I think it's a new thing that the NBA is doing, but I don't hear it on ESPN or TNT, so I don't know. But then again, I
Well,
didn't
you
I
also
didn't
don't
listen
listen to the
for it.
volume,
I didn't
so
well, I didn't listen for it. So like I don't know. But in the next TNT or ESPN game, unless they have is there ABC games today? There's NBA TV.
I know the Nuggets are the NBA TV game.
Yeah, that the Knicks and Thunder play on NBA TV at noon.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I don't know,
they're not
but
doing the ABC games on or is that Sunday?
Sunday.
Oh, Sunday. Okay, so tomorrow maybe I'll tune into one of the games and listen
Yeah.
because
But no, it was just super aggressive last night. And since we're already on the Nuggets, we could just stay here with Jamal's game. But anyways, all that to roundabout say, there was no Jamal tweet for me last night because I felt like, you know what, he has earned after that 11, 12 game stretch
he
where
earned a
he
game.
was just 20 points.
Yeah.
He earned a game, maybe a couple games. I'll give. They had a break. The break came at the worst possible time for him
Yeah, yeah.
because he's playing so well.
Oh.
And then it's like, okay, stop playing now. And he looked darker too. I'm like, did Jamal go to like Jamaica and get a tan?
Well, that's probably
Like
he probably went somewhere and just chilled and didn't pick
that's
up a
what I'm thinking.
basketball. So we might be back at that. It might take a few games.
Right. But I
I
think
don't
he's
think
earned
it'll
that
take
as
2 months, but it'll take a few games for him to get going again. So no, I was joking. But I tweeted something. I was like, I see Jamal's back, or something like that last night. I was waiting for you to respond, but it was more for a joke.
I wanted to, but I was like, I'm not biting on this. I know what he's doing. I'm not biting into this tactic. Because I'm gonna give Jamal respect. I think he has now earned at least for us to be like, okay,
Yeah.
Jamal has a bad like before the break, Jokic had a bad what game was that? Was it Indiana? I think he played. I don't think he played a good game. Like there was a couple games in there where his touch just wasn't there. He was just missing shots he normally makes. They were short. And then what does he do last night? He comes out in a ho-hum 28, 15, and 7. And I'm just like, this freaking guy. And then what is he hits like 3 big shots down the stretch.
Yeah.
One of them is a left hook with like 10, 15 seconds left. And I'm just like, dude, this guy. His Sombor shuffle too. Can I just say it's literally a 2K animation that once it gets going, you can't do anything. Like Valanciunas could have literally stuck his 2 fingers up Jokic's nostrils and like tickled his brain a little bit, and Jokic would have still netted that thing, and he did. And it's so slow, and it honestly makes me a little mad because of how slow it is. And I'm just like, if I was guarding him, I would be furious that he just hit that in my face. But he looked great last night. MPJ, 21 points, 9 rebounds.
0 assists. I
Yes,
love that. I love every game I look at his
doesn't even
assist
try.
number and I just laugh. It's so funny to see his assist numbers just 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. It's
Yeah.
great. I don't
Like, he
know
doesn't
why it
even
makes me
try
laugh,
that.
but it's funny to me because every time he touches the ball, it's up. It's right up.
Oh, literally. Yeah. It's the meme the yeah Mike meme. I just love that. There's just so much about that where it's just like a ghost of Mike. Yeah, Mike. It's Mike running down the floor. But every time he gets it, I'm like, do it. And he just shoot. And I'm just like, all right. And most of the time it goes in. There was a play last night, and our guy Ryan Blackburn tweeted it out of him at the 2-man game of him and Jokic. There's a 2-man game for you. And they went under the screen on MPJ, and he stops at the key and pulls it up, and it's net. And I'm just like, oof, it's happening. I just don't know if he even reaches 80% of his potential.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if he can
Oh, man.
be consistently between 17 to 20 once they hit the playoffs, consistently. Doesn't need to hit 25, 30, whatever. just anywhere between 17 and 20, 16, 20, and then 8 to 12 rebounds. I mean, they are as long as Jamal and Jokic are what we expect from them in the playoffs, which we've gotten 2 straight years, so we should expect that this year. If MPJ gives them that third piece consistently, they're really good. They really are good, and it's not like because last year in the playoffs, Jeremy Grant filled that in some games, but there was a lot of it was defensively that he filled that role. It wasn't scoring wise, so he was the third guy, but he would also only give you like 10 points because he was spending so much energy defensively. So I don't know how that's gonna. I don't know how that's gonna kind of work this year with MPJ. He's gonna give you the points. He's been better defensively. There was one play last night where I thought he was phenomenal defensively. He did have a block, so it's just he needs to be a little bit more consistent. And if they get that for the playoffs, I would say they're the second best team right now
In the West,
if they're getting that consistently.
I mean, they would listen. If you can count on Jokic 27, Jamal
25.
23 to 25,
and then you're getting
and
20 from MPJ, yeah, they can be this. They're the second best.
minimum 17 to 20, 21 at the high end. 19, give or take.
But again, that's a lot to ask for because we don't know what's going on with Jamal as far as we don't know how consistent he's going to be. I'm assuming that he will be. I'm assuming that he will be great in the playoffs because that's who Jamal is. He loves the playoffs. And he's focused in the playoffs. Regular season, he just doesn't seem to care. And that bothers me, but at the same time, as long as he shows up in the playoffs, do whatever you want in the regular season. And then we all know Jokic is going to be great in the playoffs. So if you get 3 of them to play like that, it's hard to stop. It really is because, again, we talk about depth doesn't matter in the playoffs. It's really
I no longer
your
want
top
to hear
3 guys.
The compliment of the Nuggets are deep. I never want to hear that again.
Well, and they're not. And honestly, in my mind, I'm like, when people say, "Well, they need more depth," I'm like, sure. I mean, I get. They need a 4th guy, and if Will Barton can figure it out and be this Will Barton, now I don't want him shooting 14 times a night. That drives me nuts when I look at the box score. And I see Will Barton takes 14 shots, Porter has 13, and Murray has 14. No. Barton should be like 8 to 10 shots. MPJ should be right around that 13 to 15. And Jamal should be anywhere between 15 and 20, in my mind.
Well, and I think we need the Jamichaels, Barton, and Monte specifically. Those have to be the 10 to 15 point a night guys.
Yep.
Like, if you need depth, be deep 1 through 7.
Or Paul Millsap, because you know what? Paul Millsap off the bench, 22 minutes. Great.
I just don't know what I'm going to get from Paul on a given night.
Well, yeah, but last night, 11 and 7. Coming off the bench. He also had 2 blocks. That's where he fits. Because now he's playing against lesser talent coming off the bench. And, again, I think that helps. So I like the starting lineup that Malone is throwing out there. You know that I love Monte starting at the point instead of Jamal. PJ Dozier he didn't shoot the ball well last night, but PJ Dozier's been awesome since he's come back. Campazzo actually added in a little bit, so that's nice to see. But again, I think Paul Millsap is perfect coming off the bench. I don't want to see him back in the starting lineup, even with Jermichael Green out. I like the starting lineup, what it looks like, especially if Will plays the way he did. It wasn't just he shot the ball well. He played great defense. In that 4th quarter, he had 2 steals late in that game. And, I mean, that's a big reason why they won. So,
yeah, they weren't calling anything for Ja last night. He didn't get any of those calls, whether it was the drive, which I thought the drive to end the game, I thought that was Jokic was straight up. He didn't jump into it. He was straight up. Now the Dylan Brooks foul on Jokic, I could see where people were like, "Where's the foul?" Because there wasn't Jokic lost the ball, but there was a swipe on his arm after he had lost the ball. So I mean, I guess there, but it was still ticky tacky. But I mean, yeah, no, I think Will, it's just so weird because he can be a really good
But he doesn't have to be
bench player. You
consistent.
just don't know what you can get.
If you're getting consistency in the playoffs from Jamal, Jokic, and Porter, Will doesn't need to be consistent. We just need a Will Barton game. That's what they need. So
Like last night.
they need a Will Barton game. They need a Monte Morris game. If you get and say a Jermichael Green game, right? You get a game from each one of those guys as your fourth guy, and MPJ, Jamal, and Jokic are still giving you what they need to give you. Then that's all you need. I mean, look at the Lakers series, right? There was a Kuzma game. Dwight Howard had a big game. Who else? Caldwell Pope, I think, had one. So, like, even though Jamal and Jokic, they evened out with LeBron and AD, the big thing was the Lakers had a third or fourth guy step up more often than the Nuggets. So for the Nuggets, as long as you have Jokic and Jamal matching Kawhi and Paul George or LeBron and AD, then all you need is Porter to be consistent as your third guy, because more than likely those two teams, they're going to get a third guy. The key is, where's your fourth guy? Who is your fourth guy? And can that fourth guy have a big game? And it doesn't have to be the same guy. Will Barton, Monte Morris, Paul Millsap even, PJ Dozier, Jermichael Green. One of those guys needs to have a big game in the playoffs in each game. It needs to kind of take your turn, right? Who's gonna have that big game in this one? So that's to me, like, in the playoffs, that's really all that matters. You need three guys, the same three guys consistently, and then a fourth to pop up from a role guy.
Yeah, I think when I look at it right now, I mean we're 37 games in. They're 22-15 after 37 games, so there's 35 games left. I mean, the Nuggets don't look now. I mean, they're the 5 seed now. They're 1 loss behind LA, 3 wins behind the Clippers. That is 3 wins behind the Clippers, 2 losses behind the Lakers, 3 wins behind them. So it looks like they'll probably. I don't see them jumping the Clippers or the Lakers. So I think they're pretty much, at best, I would say they'll probably be a 4, at worst a 6. And so at that point, you're looking at maybe they're getting Portland in the first round. You know, if Phoenix somehow falls, maybe you get Phoenix in the first round. But I think that's probably where it's going to be. As far as beating the Lakers, Clippers, whoever it is in the second round,
they can look. They did it last year, and they were closer than it looked, as far as, like,
I just don't
box
think
scores.
you get the Clippers again. I don't think they would beat them again. I think now listen, if you can, as we just mentioned, if you can get those 3 guys, then it's probably another 6 or 7 game series.
Yeah.
With the Lakers, it's probably a 6 game.
The Lakers
series.
are interesting. If the Lakers look, they need a big man. If they don't get a big man, which they probably will, but if they don't,
apparently they're interested in JaVale McGee again. That's so funny.
If they don't, like, if they get Andre Drummond, if the Cavs buy out his contract, and Andre Drummond goes to the Lakers, it's over. But right now the Lakers need a big, and the Denver Nuggets, Montrezl Harrell plays terribly against the Nuggets. It's not going to help the Lakers. The Nuggets match up, in my mind, a little bit better than the Lakers, or match up better against the Lakers than they do the Clippers this year. It was the opposite last year. The Clippers have a little bit more size, and obviously, the Clippers probably will have a little bit more motivation against the Nuggets. So I didn't even mention Gary. I mean, we could get a Gary Harris game too, which we got plenty of those in the playoffs. Last year.
What is Gary's role?
I think exactly what he gave you in the playoffs.
No, but I mean, like, where is he when he comes back? He can't go back into the starting lineup.
No,
I mean,
but what he did last year against Utah and the Clippers, that's what he gives you. And that's someone that comes off the bench. So I don't I if they trade Gary, I really hope that they get someone. They need to get someone that's gonna really help this team a lot back, because I think Gary in the playoffs is gonna be more valuable than really anyone of those role players. And he was last year. I mean, he was that guy. It went Jokic, Jamal, or Jamal Jokic, depending on the day, and then Jeremy Grant was off and on. But it was Gary's defense that was really the big deal, especially in that
I think
Utah
he
series.
put them over the top to win that series.
Right,
Like Jamal was the anchor. Well, Jokic was still himself, but Jamal was he needed to match Donovan.
right.
He did. And then they needed somebody to help. And Gary was that guy. One, Gary Harris should be known as Jordan Clarkson's father because Jordan Clarkson was completely terrorizing the Nuggets that entire series.
Yeah.
And then Gary came back, and game one, Jordan Clarkson was just non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
And then who makes the play? And I'll always love that clip. I don't know if you saw that clip that they tweeted out in the offseason where they were talking about that final sequence against the Jazz.
Yeah, it was Gary.
And
Gary made the
yeah,
play.
Gary told Monte, he said, if he goes
Yeah, I saw this. Yep.
right to his right, I'm poking it. I've studied this move. I think I know what he's going to do. He does the exact same move. Gary pokes it and seals the game almost. So Jamal passes the ball off and Torrey blows the layup and Gobert steps out of bounds with his size 38 shoe that no one seems to see. And then they pass it up to Mike Conley. And I still don't know how that shot didn't go in. It looked so good. And I was like, this is going in. My heart, I think I probably died that night. My heart, I think, stopped that night. When that shot was in the air, I was like, I'm dead. I'm just dead. I'm not living anymore. I don't feel anything. I just feel numb inside. And then when he missed, it was like I didn't even sell. Like most people were like, yeah. I was literally like,
I didn't get that same experience as you because I had Twitter open and I was watching it on my computer, so I was slightly delayed. And so I saw a tweet. So I was like, oh, thank God. So I knew, but even while I was watching that shot go up, I was like, wait, because
it was good.
Yeah, because I thought maybe someone tweeted a little too early, and so then I kind of panicked a little, but I didn't have the same complete experience as you. But Gary changed that series. So I don't look, I know that a lot of people aren't expecting the Nuggets to do anything. I think they do something, whether it's big or not, I don't know, but they'll probably address something. I think they're going to go out and get another big, someone who can protect the rim. I don't know who that's going to be. It could be JaVale McGee. It could be Andre Drummond. It could be whatever. But the fact that the Cavs might be buying out Andre Drummond's contract, you can get Andre Drummond. Because they obviously don't want him. They're desperately trying to get rid of him. If they're willing to buy him out, throw a second-round pick at him. Throw 2. I don't know. Throw your first next year. Because that's something that can really change this team and I think put you over the top. And he's going to be cheap. Very cheap if they're going to buy him out. And then use more of your assets to go get someone like Lonzo or JJ Redick. Right? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But worst case is that Andre Drummond gets bought out because he's going to LA. One of the LA teams. And that puts one of those LA teams over the top. That's a killer. So
well, they need it because in my mind the favorite to win is Brooklyn. I don't think anybody's beating Brooklyn right now.
Not with getting Blake Griffin. I mean,
I think even before Blake Griffin. I mean, I don't think yes, he's at this point in his career, like he's still a solid player, but I mean, even before then, I think it was Brooklyn. And we don't know what's going to go on with Anthony Davis's health.
Right. Right.
Like we don't know if this Achilles injury is going to linger.
Right.
Because that's one of those serious ones. It might be a strain now, but one weird movement and boom. there
Right.
it goes. And I guess you could say the same too with Brooklyn because KD is he's been in and out. Now he's dealing with a hamstring, but I expect him to be there. Um, but yeah, no, they need like the Lakers need desperately some more help because I don't think as currently constructed, I don't think they beat the Nets. I don't think the Clippers as currently constructed can beat the Nets. I think the Clippers would probably give Brooklyn a better series than the Lakers would, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I think the Lakers still have better shooters than the Clippers, and so that's the only thing that kind of I think it goes Brooklyn.
I mean, Paul George is shooting over 40% from three,
Well,
and
I know I'm talking about
whatever
the role
Morrison
guys,
is like 46% from
but
three
I'm
this year.
talking about the role guys because if Anthony Davis is healthy, again, Paul George, LeBron, they're gonna cancel out Kawhi and PG, or Anthony Davis and LeBron and Kawhi and PG. They're gonna cancel each other out. I think the Lakers have better shooters and role players than the Clippers do.
Do
The
you? I
the
don't think so.
I think so. I think with Dennis Schroeder, the way he's been playing this year, Caldwell Pope is great from behind the three. So I I think they have better guards that can hit threes. Montrezl Harrell, he's gonna want to beat the Clippers. I think he'll play well against the Clippers. So I think they're slightly better, like slightly. It's close. Depending on what happens with the trade deadline, which is in 2 weeks, we'll see. But I don't know. If the Lakers get Andre Drummond, I think it's at least over for the West. I don't think anyone beats the Lakers if Andre Drummond goes there.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless, I mean they do need help. They need some,
Yeah.
especially if AD is going to be out for an
Yeah.
extended period of time.
Both teams need help, but yeah. I
Yeah,
the Clippers need better shooters. If they were to get someone like JJ Redick, um that'd be nice for them. They need more shooters. I don't know if they need more bigs or not. I don't know how Ibaka's been playing over there.
he's been playing well. He
So
was playing well the other night. He had like 9 of their first 14 points.
yeah, so I don't know if they need another big. The Lakers need a big. So I think they're kind of opposite. The Lakers have better shooters. The Clippers have the bigs. So it's a little bit, I guess, swapped from last year. And
Well, I think the
then
Clippers are better defensively, though. I think they have more bodies they can switch
mhm.
defensively and make it tougher on Brooklyn than the Lakers can. It's not to say that the Lakers are a bad defensive team, but I mean, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Serge Ibaka, like those guys necessarily aren't liability. I mean, we know what Patrick Beverly brings on that end, and I mean,
Yeah,
if he can
but
get 1 or 2 threes a night,
I
that's a
mean,
bonus.
the Lakers though are giving up 106 a night. The Clippers are giving up 109.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know. The Nuggets are giving up 110 right now. I don't know. I would go Brooklyn, the Lakers, the Clippers. I would put. I
At that
think
point, is it a pick 'em?
I think it's
I
a
mean, I
pick
guess
'em
you have to put
because
Utah.
you can say Philly. No, I wouldn't pick Utah at all. I would say Philly, Denver, and Milwaukee is all in that boat.
No Phoenix or
I
Utah. Huh?
no. Well, Phoenix is interesting, but DeAndre Ayton is the thing that's making me kind
I just
of
think they're too young.
yeah. I think
They're
I think
they're the Nuggets of 2018.
which really sucks for them because I think they got Chris Paul at the wrong time, which really sucks. If Denver got Chris Paul, that's the right time to get Chris Paul, right? Because your guys are ready. I think Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker is ready. DeAndre Ayton is not, and I think that's the problem. And their other role guys are young as well. They don't have a lot of veteran role guys. Bridges is fantastic. Um, Johnson, I believe, Cameron Johnson is
Yeah,
that
Cam Johnson. He's
he's
been out for a little bit
he's
though.
been out for
I
a little,
saw
but
he
he's good. I mean, they've got young, like really good young role players.
Jay
But
Crowder.
Jay Crowder is more of a veteran, so that helps you. But again, in the playoffs, I don't think they're gonna be ready. I don't know if they know what to expect. It'll be very different for them. So, and DeAndre Ayton, that's the kicker. Like I don't. They've won 5 in a row, but DeAndre Ayton has just not had a good year. So I just thought he'd be better. And he just doesn't seem to fit the team right now. So I don't know. That's a weird one. I think Phoenix. I'll say this though. I think Phoenix is better than Utah. I think Utah is a complete just fluke. They're complete fluke. I think at best they're the fifth best team in the West. I think the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets, and the Suns are all better. And if Portland was healthy, then I think Portland's better as well.
I think fluke is so strong. Maybe like
as far as being the best team, championship and best team in the West. That's what they're still a really good team. I'm not saying that they're not a playoff team. I'm just saying I think the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Suns, and if Portland's healthy, I think they all beat Utah in a 7-game series.
I don't think so. I think for sure the top LA teams do. But I think when it comes to Portland, Denver,
they can't beat Denver. They can't. Rudy Gobert gets destroyed by Jokic every single time. They can't. They can't.
I still get over the fact
they can't.
that they had Rudy Gobert, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, play off of Jokic, and we're like, this is the move. This is what we're going to do. And Jokic was like, 50. And then you put Rudy Gobert on him, he's like 40 to 50. So I just
look, Gobert's a nice player. He's like a Marcus Camby to me. Like that's who he is.
Oh, don't
he's better.
Marcus Camby had a better offensive game than he does.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying though. Like people act like Gobert's this great center. Marcus Camby, I think is just as good, if not better.
He's a great defender.
He's a great defender.
Part of that is how big he is. but
that's what I'm saying. This Utah team is those early mellow Nuggets teams.
They just. I think we're seeing that this is a team that's everybody's playing their best literally at the right time.
Yeah.
Bogdanovich.
Yeah. And look, and everyone says, well, they didn't have Bogdanovich last year and blah, 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 blah. I just look. MPJ wasn't ready last year either. So,
the Nuggets didn't have Will Barton. They didn't
have Will Barton, and Gary Harris didn't play for half the series. So all you Utah fans saying, "Oh, we didn't have Bogdanovich." Well, guess what? We didn't have Will, Gary for half the series. MPJ wasn't ready yet and playing well. So come on, bite me.
Who's their other starting? He's the defender. He's the 3-and-D guy. Why am I blanking on his name?
Ingles. I hate that guy. Oh
no, not Ingles.
I hate
the other starter. Why am I blanking on his name?
O'Neal.
Yes,
Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, he's playing like he's having a career year.
Yeah.
Ingles, I think, is off the bench for them.
Yeah. He started last year for Bogdanovich, but yeah, sorry, I think you. I also hate Utah in general, so I'm a little biased here.
We know.
If the state just randomly blew up, I don't think we'd miss anything. So,
goodness. Well, hopefully people are evacuated first.
Yeah, sure. They can just blow up the state.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I think they're the third best team in the West. I'll give them that. I think.
Oh, I don't think so.
If they were in a series against the Portland, Denver, Phoenix, any of those teams, I would pick Utah. Now, I wouldn't say it would be like a sweep. I think it would be 6 or 7. I could see that series with every one of those teams going 6 or 7 games.
I don't think they can beat Denver. I just don't. I don't think they match up well against Denver.
What MPJ we're gonna get? If we're gonna get this MPJ,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's a year later. It's a year later, and they have Will back. If both teams are healthy. Now, obviously, we don't know. There could be a big injury for Utah or a big injury for Denver. We just don't know. COVID. So, but if everything's all the same, they're all healthy, and the Nuggets get back to being healthy, I think Denver wins in 6. I mean, they came back from 3-1, and they didn't have Will, and MPJ wasn't playing, up to par.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, come on. And Gary was out half the series. Come on.
I just saw Jeff Sherman from Superbook Sports.
I saw this.
So obviously betting related in Vegas. Tweeted out the NBA MVP updated odds. LeBron James is number 1, 11-10. Nikola Jokic is number 2 at 9-2.
I agree. I don't get why LeBron is so high up on this list.
Because he's LeBron.
Yeah, I love LeBron's my favorite player. I just don't think if LeBron wins MVP, it's 1 because the second guy is Jokic, and 2 because LeBron got screwed last year. Because LeBron should have won it last year. So I think it's if LeBron wins it this year, it's a makeup for last year, and because no one wants to vote for Jokic.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way that.
Well, I just don't think Jokic will ever win one because he doesn't. He doesn't look the part of your
Yeah.
typical. And I hate to say it like this, but he's not
People
the
don't like
physical
him.
specimen
People
of.
don't like him. It's that simple.
I don't know
People.
if they don't like him. I just think he's just not. He's just not something
He's
that
not
the
fun.
NBA can market as an MVP.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't fit the mold. One, he's not a guard. He's not a flashy guard or anything like that, or a wing. So that's out of there. He's not a physical specimen like LeBron. He doesn't dunk on guys like Giannis. He doesn't shoot like Steph and do all those crazy things.
But you know what?
Uh,
He does. Other than the dunking, he does literally everything that those guys do.
he does. It's just not pretty. It's just weird looking. It's just weird. He's like if the Michelin Man played basketball. He's like, what was that Disney movie with the white fluffy character? That's Jokic. He's a superhero that looks weird. That's just what he is. But he's great. He's great at what he does. He's one of the best clutch players, if not the most clutch player in the NBA. He's shooting 40+% from 3. He had key defensive plays last night that helped the Nuggets win the game, which I hope people, and I know it'll take time for the national narrative to come around on the defensive side of Jokic, but like people that watch Jokic every night understand, yeah, he's not great defensively, but he can be great in moments.
Mm-hmm.
And he was last night. He comes up again. It's like 2 to 3 times a game where he strips a guy. He did it to Ja Morant twice last night. He rim protects, doesn't foul. It goes straight up. I mean, he's great all around. And I think we're getting to a point, and it's funny because I was watching First Take last night before I went to bed from Friday, and they were talking about Kyrie, and Stephen A's like, oh, Kyrie's the greatest show in the NBA right now, and he needs to be in the MVP race, and he needs to be top 5. And Max was like, you're putting him top 5? He's like, and Max went through guys. He's like, I'm not putting him over LeBron. I'm not putting him over who was it? Embiid. And Max spent a lot of time on Jokic. He's like, wait, you're putting him over Jokic? He's like, do you know what Jokic is doing right now? He's averaging like 27, 12, and 8. And Stephen A was like, yeah, that's good. That's fine. And I'm like, hold on. So now we're to this point with Jokic to where 27, that's what you expect him to do. He's a good player. And you know who else we do that with? We do that with LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 26, 9, and 10?
We're doing it with Luka already too.
Right. That's what you expect from him.
Yeah.
So when you expect it, it becomes less impressive because it's like that's just what he does.
Yeah.
But when you sit back and take a look at it, this guy's a center. He's shooting 40+% from 3. He can not only score every level of the floor, but he's the best passer in the league. He's got a great IQ. And not only that, he's an actual playmaker. He's not just a passer. Like it's not just one of those situations where he gets it at the top of the key.
It's not like
and
Shaq.
Yeah.
Shaq was a great passer for a center.
Right. No, Jokic does it everywhere.
Right.
Out of double teams, on the move, spinning. Like it's just it's to that point now where it's like now we're kind of taking Jokic for granted. Either we're taking him for granted, or some people in the national media like Stephen A just they don't focus. They're not actually watching him enough.
Well, I think it's that, but it's also who Jokic is. Like he's just not someone that jumps off the page.
Right. He's not marketable.
Yeah.
He's not an NBA. He's not the typical NBA guy. He's not who you would want as the face of your league.
Well, look, and yeah, they do that with LeBron. We're doing that. They're starting to do that with Jokic. Luka's another guy. I mean, the other day I saw Luka's numbers. I'm like, whoa, what the? I did not realize he was doing that. He's averaging 28, 9, and 8. He's nearly averaging 28, 9, and 9.
And he's 21.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like it doesn't make sense. So, you know, these numbers that we're seeing across the league, though, this is the first year in a while where these numbers are absolutely insane. And I don't know if it's just the way the NBA is now, and so it's just overly. I don't know, but Bradley Beal averaging 32, 5 and 5. Joel Embiid is averaging 30, 11 and 3. Damian Lillard is averaging 30, 8 and 4. Steph is averaging 29, 6 and 5. Giannis is averaging 29, 11 and 6. Zach LaVine is averaging 28.5, 5 and 5. Luka 28, 9 and 8. I mean, Jokic 27, 11 and 8. Kyrie's averaging 27.7, 6 assists, 5 rebounds a game. These numbers are absurd. Not to mention, LeBron's averaging 25, 8 and 8. Zion, who's 20 years old, 19 years old, is averaging 25, 7 and 3.
It's just full speed ahead every time to the rim. It cracks me up.
I mean, Trey Young. No one talks about Trey Young. He's averaging 26 and 9 and 4. Kawhi Leonard, who no one's talked about Kawhi this year, 26, 6 and 5. These numbers from everyone is just absurd. I mean, James Harden, who, by the way, is taking a back seat in Brooklyn, is still averaging 25, 11 and 8.
Is he really? Wow. I thought he might have been
like
lower.
Jason Tatum is averaging 25, 7 and 4. Donovan Mitchell is averaging 25, 5 and 5. By the way, shout out to Donovan. I know I hate on Utah a lot. Shout out to Donovan Mitchell. He has stepped up his game this year. He has been amazing this year. Just those other guys on his team are just not very good. But like Vucevic, he was an all-star, and I was like, oh, really? Vucevic is an all-star? Yeah, he's averaging 24, 11 and 3. Like,
He's having really. He just plays in Orlando.
right. Colin Sexton, who we never hear of, he's 20 years old. He's averaging 24, 4 and 3. Like, these numbers from everyone is just absurd. It's this year more than any other year, for some reason, just looks insane with these numbers.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is because, you can't play defense like you used to in different eras.
Right.
But guys are just better.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's why, like, all the
top end is better.
Fans and, like, boomer analysts, they're like, the game was just because the game was more physical doesn't mean it was better.
They had to be physical.
Right.
They had to be. Now you can't
Right.
be physical, one, because of fouls, but two, these guys are too skilled. If you foul someone, more than likely it's going to be an and one.
Yeah. Imagine trying to, okay, you can hand check. Okay, will hand checking still keep Kyrie, James Harden, and Steph Curry in front of you?
No.
You might be able to hit him once, but then you're going to miss the next time and you're going to fall on your face as Curry does his Curry slide and he hits it from 47 feet. Or, Dame Lillard or anybody like that. So, you could be physical with Jokic, but those pouches, it's like a kangaroo pouch. He absorbs those blows and it doesn't even face him. And then he just somber shuffles a net in your face. You're like, how do I stop you? Yeah, these guys are just insane offensively.
I mean, Joel Embiid is essentially a modern-day Shaq. I mean, he's doing the same thing that Shaq did. It's just he's not as big and physical as...
He's not as forceful.
What?
Speaking of Shaq, I watched a couple weeks ago, like, Shaq highlights because I was like, I don't really, like, remember Shaq playing. Like,
I'm not saying Joel Embiid is as good as Shaq, by the way. I'm just saying that he's the modern-day Shaq.
Sure. I don't know, but like
at 7'1", the way he's averaging 30 and 11, like that's what Shaq did. Now Shaq was better.
Shaq so forceful. Like every move and dunk was just like I was like, God. Like I just watched a couple of highlights of his games and he would just turn I don't know how he didn't get called for 87 offensive fouls a game because he would put that elbow right in guys' face. Like, and he was a master at just missing them. But if you got clocked with a Shaq, I think he died. But he was a master at missing them, and then boom. And I was like, oh he's so aggressive. How would you stop that? Like, obviously that's why but like I didn't remember Shaq, like, because like the most I remember from Shaq is like
the Phoenix,
like Miami, like a little bit of the Miami days, Phoenix. Cleveland, and then after that it was just when he went to Boston he was just awful.
Yeah, the Miami NBA Finals when they won it, that was the first time I watched the finals. It wasn't the first time I was watching the NBA, but it was the first time I actually watched the NBA Finals. Because by the time I started watching Nuggets in Melo's rookie year and LeBron's rookie year, I started watching the NBA. So I was a fan of LeBron's day one, and Melo's, of course. Um, but I didn't watch once the Nuggets were out. Once they got beat by Minnesota that first year, I didn't watch anything. So I didn't care. Um, so yeah, that finals, that 2005 or 2006. Which one was it?
6.
2006.
I think
That
it was
was the
6.
that was the first one that at least I remember watching. I was in Hawaii, on vacation with my family, and instead I was in the hotel room watching the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the first one I remember. I I remember like Shaq was really good in that series, but all I remember is Dwayne Wade
Mm-hmm.
in that series. So
But no, like Shaq was just so forceful.
yeah,
But no, the game is just in a better place. It's skilled,
yeah,
and the rest of the world is. I'm not going to say they've caught up with the NBA, like the talent here. I think they're catching up because still, like, if you still fielded a team of the USA roster, it's still going to be better than what Serbia,
right.
uh, Spain.
Well,
It's still
if all those countries went to put together one team,
like an international roster. Then it's a
then
different
it's
story.
different story. But all these guys are from different places. I mean, Giannis plays for Greece. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Well, did he Olympics for Greece?
I think he did. Was it Greece?
But I don't think Giannis was Giannis at that time.
Right. Well, yeah,
He
of
might
course.
be getting on the
But
doorstep.
I mean,
That
no other player plays at least that's at that level plays for them, right? Luka is from
Croatia.
Croatia, so he's
I
the
think.
only one there. Nikola's the only one from Serbia. So like it's not, I think Embiid is from France, right? Is that right?
I think he's Haitian, but I don't know if he's ever. I don't know who he plays, like who he would
Because
have
he doesn't
played
play
for.
for the U.S. team.
I don't think he's played in an Olympics yet.
Right. So like they're all from different countries, but if you could put all of them on one team, well, yeah, they could. It'll be a great game. I mean, you would have.
Imagine a front court of Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid.
Yeah, I mean, Jokic would be your point guard, along with Luka.
Luca. Who? Okay,
Dude,
who's
that's
the
a
other guy?
good
Not that we're
team.
down the road.
Oh well, and
Who's who?
then throw in. I mean, well, Jamal plays for Canada, so he'd be on that international team.
Jamal, Ben Simmons from
Ben
Australia.
Simmons. Yep.
Who else?
We're
are we
probably
looking at?
Nikola Vucevic.
Vucevic. I'm trying to think.
Let's see.
Is there anybody else?
I'm looking at the list. Trey Young, no. Doesn't Kyrie play for? He doesn't play for the U.S. team, does he?
Yeah,
He does?
Kyrie's
Okay.
from New York, I think.
Well, I know, but for some reason I saw him. Oh, never mind. I saw something else.
Yeah, he's played for Team USA.
Um,
I don't know. Who would be the other guy?
that's where the depth isn't as good for the international. But
sure.
they're catching up. I mean, you take the top 5, you can match up with. I don't know if you beat them, but you can match up with LeBron, Kawhi,
Durant,
Kevin
Steph
Durant,
Curry,
Steph, James Harden. Yeah, I mean, it gets a little ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just the shooting alone with Dame and Steph. We haven't even talked about the All-Star game. That was, I don't know if you watched it, but when Dame and Steph were taking turns taking half-court shots in literally the middle of the game.
I felt like
Dear
Damian
Lord.
had to, like he wanted to prove something. Like, I am able to do this, and
Yeah, but
you can shoot as far as Steph, but I'm still taking, like, Steph is still in my mind different.
Yeah. Steph should have
on
won the
another-
MVP in that game, but
Well, I mean, Giannis went like 16 for 16.
yeah, but they were
And
dunks.
the-
They were
I love
dunks.
Jokic just slyly.
Half of Steph's threes would have been 5 points. Like,
Yeah.
come on. But yeah, no,
Well,
that was you know what I saw. I think it was Colin Coward was talking about that game, that night. That was the welcome back Steph Curry night. Like, that was a truly like we've had half the season, but they haven't been very good. So it's like that was the. Oh yeah, Steph is still a top 5 player in this league, by the way.
Yeah, that was for the rest of the rest of the nation. I mean, maybe like the casual fans, but like, I don't think anybody ever, like, I didn't think Steph like somehow dropped off of a cliff.
No.
He broke his hand.
Yeah.
Like, he's still the greatest shooter ever, and I still would put him a step above Damian Lillard.
Well,
Now,
I
that's not
think
to say
he's
Damian
having a
Lillard's so
career year
good,
this year, even better than his MVP years.
and Damian is just insane too.
Yeah, Dame is really. I don't know, something about Dame just he's just he doesn't. It almost like feels like he's just not as good as Steph, but like he's right there, like he's close. It's just it never feels like it. But Steph's MVP year, he averaged 30 points per game, 6.7 assists, and 5.4 rebounds, shooting 50% from three, or 50% from the field, 45 from three, 90 from the free throw line. So he had a 50, 40, 90. This year he's averaging 29, 6, 5, shooting 47% from the field, 40% from three, and 93% from the free
And
throw
he's
line.
31, I want to say 31, 32.
Yeah,
now?
that was his MVP year was 5 years ago.
Yeah. So
He's
I
still
just
really
think
good.
I think Steph at his peak was a little bit harder to guard than Damian. I don't think Damian has the handle that Steph has,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't think he's as tough. He's still really tough to guard, but I just think he's a tougher guard to try and defend.
Mm-hmm.
I think Steph's off ball movement is unmatched by anybody
Mm-hmm.
in the NBA. I don't think Damian Lillard is as good of an off ball player
No,
as
he needs to dribble and shoot.
right.
Yeah,
Well, and most of his threes come
off
from
the dribble.
him coming off of a pick at the top of the key and hitting it.
Right.
That's or him, crossing half court and launching it.
Yeah.
Steph does all of that, but he also runs through like a corn maze of screens, and he just doesn't get tired. And then after the 75th screen by Draymond Green, he's free, and somehow another defender helps off, and they touch each other's hands, they interlock, and Steph still drains the three. And you're just like, well, how do we
He's
do?
impossible to guard. You cannot guard Steph because if you're able to slow him down off the dribble, he's gonna kill you off the dribble or off the ball. So like you can't, and you can run those screens. If you go under, he's gonna shoot it. If you go over, he's still gonna shoot it because you're gonna be behind him, and he can still hit it.
Or he's going to curl it. He's going to get to the basket, either
Right.
lay it up, or they're going to converge on him. And oh, there's Klay Thompson, the other greatest shooter,
Yeah.
in league history, and he nets it. It's just like those Golden State Warrior teams were just impossible. They were fun, but they were just devastating. But yeah, the league is just in such an insane place. The All-Star game was fun. I just loved Jokic just being weird. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just here to run around.
Him and
and
Giannis were the best part of the game. That was.
I'm telling you, there's some recruiting going on there. Jokic has something. And speaking of that, did you see Jokic's comments today? Now I take it with a grain of salt because it's the NBA and anything can happen. But apparently he was asked last night. I don't know what the exact question was, but about, I'm assuming it was something to the effect of, how long do you see yourself staying here? Do you want to win here? Type of thing.
Mhm.
And he said, I would rather win as a Nugget than anywhere else.
Yeah, well,
And
of course he would, but things change. If the
yeah,
Nuggets,
that's what I'm saying. With a grain of salt.
right? If the Nuggets start, if the Nuggets refuse to go into the luxury tax, at some point he's going to leave because he's never going to win. They're going to have to go into the luxury tax if they want to win. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's encouraging.
Are the Nuggets going to let MPJ go? I mean, that's the question. Or are they going to trade Jamal? For nothing, essentially. Because they're going to have to, if they want to keep all three together, they're going to go into the luxury tax. Because the way MPJ is playing, you're going to have to pay him. If you pay Jamal the way you paid Jamal, you're going to have to pay MPJ the same.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But I think it's encouraging, though, because I think now you have for sure one guy here who other players in the league can look at and say, I can play with that guy. And he's not a selfish guy. He's not a me guy. He wants to win. And I think Jokic was like, I have my eyes set on Giannis. And he made sure Giannis felt really good. And I was like, yes, the plan is working.
Could you imagine if the Nuggets did what Golden State did, though? They go to a couple NBA finals, with Jokic, MPJ, and Jamal, and they're amazing. Oh, and hey, Giannis, come on over.
I would love that. That front court, Jokic and Giannis, that screen and roll with Giannis coming downhill and one step and he's at the hoop. Oh, gosh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be a great duo.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there's some recruiting going on there, but they were fun to watch, those two. And Jokic is he's just so goofy.
I mean,
He's just so
every time Jokic plays on a national stage, there's always gonna be a Jokic meme.
yeah
Like it's
yeah.
just gonna happen. So, and he
I
had
love it.
two. He had the one dancing, and then he had the one jumping, or like doing his
When he
little
was
skip or hop or
if you
whatever he
saw
was doing.
where he's like flapping his wings. He's, he's just a big child, and I love it. But I don't know if you saw the clip of him and Giannis talking on the sideline, and Jokic was making fun of Giannis's shot.
Yeah,
He's like, you shoot like this. He's like, well, you shoot like this. It was hilarious. Just a couple future nuggets, just chopping it up, hanging out. But the league is in a great place. There's so many fun international and just regular.
Well, think about
superstars
this:
to
no
watch.
matter what game you watch, other than maybe the Rockets game, there's a player that you're excited to watch. Like Minnesota, if Minnesota's on, for the most part, if Minnesota's on, I'm like, okay, let's see what Anthony Edwards is tonight, or Karl Anthony Towns if he plays. The Rockets don't really have anyone. The Kings, I mean, De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is fun to watch. Pelicans, obviously, you got Zion. By the way, I think we were. I'm not ready to say it, but it's trending the direction of we were both wrong about Zion.
Well, yeah, I said that last week. Like
he's really good. It's not just the dunks. It's not just the dunks anymore. I did not think at 6'6" he could move guys around the way he does. He's so powerful. He's so powerful. He's Shaq in a 6'6" body. That's what he is. And the way he moves guys around, I did not think like, oh, he was so dominant in the paint and with Duke. I was like, yeah, he's twice as big as everyone that he's playing. Now, and I was like, once he plays guys that are his size, bigger, and just as fast as him, or even faster, he's not going to be able to move guys around like he does. So he's going to have to develop a shot. Yeah. He's moving guys just as well.
He's an insane athlete. First off,
he's incredible.
He's an elite athlete. He brushes guys off the same way that peak LeBron does and did. Mm-hmm. Like you bounce off of him like it's you're throwing a rubber ball at a wall. You right. Guys hit him and there's like he did. I can't get out of my mind when they were playing Utah before the All-Star break, and he went up and just moved Gobert in midair. Mm-hmm. And Gobert's like 7'7", and he's just flailing over there. And Zion is just this compact bowling ball.
But it's not just him in the post either. He has that move where he takes the ball, he swings it to the left, drives left from the top of the key, and he hop steps. And when he hop steps, he pushes you. His body is pushing you away. You go flying back, and he's wide open. And that hop step is just like you can't. It's a boulder. You can't do anything, and it launches you. It's unbelievable. So it's not just him posting up and being able to move you in the post. He has the speed and the handles to be able to drive left, hop step, and while he's hop stepping, he's in midair, and you're bouncing off of him. That's not supposed to happen.
Insane athlete. I still think eventually he's gonna have to get a shot. Eventually, it's gonna have to happen.
But it's not like he has a Giannis shot. Like he has a better shot than Giannis.
His form.
His first game. Do you remember? I will never forget his first game. Do you remember that game?
Well, he hit a few threes, didn't he? In that game?
It wasn't just a few. He hit he was 4 or 5 feet, within because they were down. They were down by double digits. He comes in the third or fourth quarter. And he hits 3 straight threes. And all of a sudden, they're back in the game. And then he hits another one for them to take the lead. And it was his first ever game. He does that. And I was like, oh my God.
Last year, I think it was the first game out there. And I think it was Gary driving to the basket. And he tossed it up. And he literally jumped 3 feet and swatted it. Yeah. With so much power that it went to the 5th row, and I was like, "What? What? He just do that?
He's incredible.
He just shot up in the air, just It's like, all right, well, that's
It's
insane.
it really is unfortunate that he's in New Orleans. No offense to New Orleans or anything like that. It's just I have a feeling it's gonna be like AD. Like it's gonna be like 7 years of kind of a waste because AD was so good.
He'll be there for a little bit,
He'll
at least 3 4 years. He'll be there.
Well, no, he'll be there for his first 6 7 years of his career.
Unless he
It's
commits.
just gonna be it's essentially gonna be a loss,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
but he's insane.
He's
He's
incredible.
insane. The league is in a great place after the next stars. I don't know if there's another LeBron coming up the ranks, but I
I
mean, if
mean,
we have a lot of these sub stars,
right?
I mean, the league's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But the Nuggets, obviously, to loop it back to them, because we just, gushed on every other basketball player. They played Dallas tonight, 8 p.m. Luka's kind of chunky. Have you noticed that? Luka's kind
I
of
noticed that. I was like, Luka's going the Jokic route
yeah,
from a
Luka's
couple of
got a
years ago.
dad bod like Jokic had, so they might need to work on that. Same with Zion. Like Zion's big. Like Zion is literally the bulk build on 2K.
Yeah. No,
He's fat.
I never want to hear them talk about, oh, Zion lost 20 pounds. I don't want to hear that.
He needs to lose 20 more.
No, I think he's fine.
I think he needs to lose.
I think he's
if he
fine.
lost,
I think that weight helps him. I kind of like Jokic when he had the weight. Now I get it. Jokic lost a bunch of weight and he's still great. But the fact that Zion can still jump, still can have a 50-inch vertical, and have that power and the speed that he has at that weight, the weight helps him because he's only 6'6" and he's playing down low most of the time. So I don't know. I'd rather not see Zion lose 20, 30 pounds unless he loses, 15 pounds, but he had gained 15 pounds of muscle. I don't really want to hear that. The last thing before we get to the Broncos, because we need to get to the Broncos and end this podcast, but I heard someone talk about Zion, and I don't remember who it was, but they were around when MJ came into the league. And look, Jordan was never a shooter, even at the end of his career. He was never a shooter. But when he came into the league, he was no one had ever seen anything like him before. Similar to LeBron in a way, but LeBron was a little bit different. But Zion is very similar to those two as far as coming into the league. And you think about all of the athletic guys that are in this league. It's insane. But yet Zion sticks out. Like, we've never seen a guy like this. And so I don't think he's ever going to be up at that rank of MJ, LeBron, right? They're 1A, 1B. I don't think he'll ever get there. But what I'm saying though is it's oddly similar to, it's every 20 years or so, right? MJ came in the league in 85, 84. LeBron comes into the league in 2003. Zion comes in the league in 2020. Like, every 20 years or so, someone comes in the league and it's like, oh, we've never seen anyone like this before. So, at least athletically.
I think there's a few of those guys that still exist in the league.
Well,
I think a good point with Zion because he's so compact, but he's so explosive.
At 19 years old.
Right.
I think for Giannis, he had to grow into that body, and he wasn't. But coming straight into the league and being like that, the other guy I can think of is KD, obviously, with his scoring ability.
I think there's a few guys in the league like that. I think Zion is for sure one, just a guy who's the height of like a two guard, but he's so explosive but powerful at the same time. Giannis, I think, as a guy who's 7 feet but runs like a gazelle and can fly, literally. Kevin, who's 7 feet but can score from anywhere on the floor and handle like a guard. I don't think we've seen anything like that before. And I would throw Jokic in there too. A guy who's a center who has a complete offensive repertoire and playmaking game that is reminiscent of like what you would see in guards and stuff like that too. The league is just, again, it's an insane place. And I looked over and the snow is coming down now. So it's being very aggressive.
I'm not seeing snow here yet. So quickly, let's get to the Broncos. What were the comments from?
So Tim Patrick, let me find the comments. specifically, but it was something to the effect of, Drew Lock is different this year. I'm seeing something different in him,
You didn't see him
um,
last year.
that
Oh
we
wait, no,
didn't.
Tim Patrick. Never mind. I was
Yeah,
saying George Payton. Sorry.
yeah,
Go
no,
on.
that we didn't see. He's doing okay. Here we go. Drew Lock is doing the small things to become a great QB. I love Drew going forward. I think he understands what he needs to do, and he understands it. It doesn't have anything to do with his football skills. It's good to see. I've been in Denver for a couple weeks. His approach to the game has been 100% different than it was during the season. He's one of the first guys in the building, one of the last guys to leave. He's doing the small things to be a great player in this league and understanding what you're not good at and getting it up to where your talent is. So when you take that comment on its surface, one, it's telling you Drew Lock wasn't doing what he needed to do last year to be a great player in this league. He mentions he's one of the first guys in and one of the last guys out. So, and I think that whole narrative of if be the first guy in and last guy, I think that's kind of overblown a little bit. I think there's something to like putting in extra work,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think guy like I'm gonna be there at 4 a.m. and stay till 12, midnight. Like I don't think that should necessarily be a determining factor, but I think these comments tell you that there was a reason why Drew Lock, it seemed like one step forward, two steps back.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what Tim Patrick is telling you. Now, okay, man, now he's got a different approach. Maybe we can see Drew Lock reach something that we think he could possibly be. But again, this is concerning, but again, it's not like alarming for me.
Yeah, and I think it I think that comment I think Drew Lock kind of realized that he could easily be replaced.
Mhm.
Um I don't think that the Broncos will be drafting a quarterback as much as I want them to. I don't think that I honestly have a feeling that there might be 4 quarterbacks taken in the top 5 picks. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. So, especially if Deshaun Watson gets traded to Miami, then Houston would take someone at 3. So then you'd have quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, and then someone would trade up at 4 or 5. So, or even Atlanta could take a quarterback. So I don't think it's possible to get a quarterback. So at this point, you are stuck with Drew Lock, unless you're that team that trades up. So I just it's good to hear. I like the comment, and I think it explains a lot. It explains why, because Drew Lock has the talent. He has the arm talent. He moves in the pocket pretty well. He can get outside. He can run. He's 6'3". He has the talent to be a really good quarterback in the league, to be a top 15 quarterback in the league. He has the talent. So it makes sense that maybe he wasn't doing the little things as far as, because his reads were off. And when we talked about it in the regular season, a lot of his interceptions, there was someone either underneath wide open or on the whole other side of the field wide open. And he missed Jerry Jeudy a lot throughout the regular season. So, like, there was a lot of those issues. It wasn't, we weren't, quote unquote, crapping on Drew Lock because we thought he didn't have the talent. We knew we know he has the talent. But what he was showing us with his reads and just the decision making, it just wasn't there. So if it was more so he wasn't putting in the work to do so and now he is, then it's a little bit different. It's like, I'm going to compare it to Jokic. Like, Jokic has had all the talent in the world to be what he is today. But he came into the season overweight, 300 pounds, and there was the little things that he wasn't doing that wasn't allowing him to be what he is today. Same with Jamal, right? We've talked about Jamal as far as the focus and putting and doing the little things to make sure that you're consistent every day, every game. I think with Drew Lock, it's similar. He obviously wasn't doing those little things, the studying, the film study, the just knowing where your reads are, and but again, last offseason we heard similar things of him, taking the receivers out and doing their own little mini camp that wasn't they were technically not supposed to do it, but it wasn't the Broncos doing it, so it was okay, right? And we said it again a year ago. We were like, oh, that's a good thing, right? And that's a good sign. So is this just the next step, or is it really just the same thing and we're doing this all over again and we're going to be stuck in this stupid loop with Drew Lock? So I don't know, but if it's another step on top of that, then I think it's a good thing. And look, we're going to get another year with Drew Lock, whether you like it or not. So I don't like it, obviously. If I were Denver, I would do everything I could to get one of these top 4 quarterbacks. But they're not going to do that. They're going to stick with Drew Lock. They're going to grab a corner because it's a need other than quarterback. And Drew Lock has shown just enough to where you kind of have to stick with him. Because if you draft someone and you trade Drew Lock and then Drew Lock kind of figures it out and this stuff that Tim Patrick is talking about ends up being what exactly he needed to take that next step, then you're going to be looking really stupid when he's in New Orleans putting up massive numbers or wherever. So you have to, I think this year you do have to stick with him. It just sucks because this is a hell of a year to grab a quarterback.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is maybe these comments show that he may have taken for granted what he did in year 1 and thought that, oh, this is easy.
His talent could take him alone.
Right. I just went in 5 games, 4-1. Yeah, my worst game was against Kansas City in the snow. That's an anomaly. I went to Houston, who at the time was a playoff team, and completely kicked their heads in. Threw for 300, one or two times. Like, this is easy. I can just coast.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got his first real shot of being the guy, and it was like, oh, now the book is out on me. Right. Now there's actual tape on me.
And on top of that, he got injured.
Yeah.
But that's again, I'm not in on Drew Lock, and I won't be until he proves it. The biggest concern for me though is his injuries. Because so far, I'm expecting him to miss 4 to 5 games this year. Or 3 to 5 games this year. Why? Because he's done it in back-to-back years. If he was the starting quarterback going into his rookie year, he would have missed the first 4 or 5 weeks. So, and then last year, he missed, 5? 4?
Yeah, I mean...
So, how can...
thing though that was kind of
it's fluky. It's a little fluky, and I get it. He hit his thumb on a helmet, but again,
one, concussion, or was it the rib or arm or something like that?
His shoulder, I thought.
Yeah.
So it's back-to-back years where he's had an injury. That's concerning. And if he stays healthy, maybe he does start to figure it out a little bit sooner, because his last 4 or 5 games. You look at the numbers, it's not great, but it's much better than what he was doing earlier. I think it was like 7 touchdowns to 2 picks in the last 4 games. It's like, it's not great. He's not even averaging 2 touchdowns per game. Whatever. But, or maybe it was the last 3 games. So it was like two touchdowns per game. But again, they were against a terrible Carolina team, a terrible Raiders defense. So like, how much can you really say like, oh, he's figuring out? Or if it was just like, well, yeah, those are trash teams that, you better play like that. So it's hard to get a read on Drew Lock, and it puts Denver in a really bad position because you can't, I don't want to say you can't, but it makes it's risky if you're going to say we're going to trade up in the draft, grab a quarterback, and trade Drew Lock. It's risky.
Yeah, and
I would do it personally, but it's risky.
Who knows what? I mean, who knows what to expect at this point with Peyton going to Trey Lance's pro day.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows how many other pro days he's going to go to. But for now, I think if it's year 3 with Locke, is that my desired thing to do? No, but I guess if we got a year 3 with Locke, seeing as how I think next year is going to be kind of a moot point anyway, that I don't believe Fangio and Shermer will be here anyways. I mean, why not? So
Yeah. The
I don't
only
know.
the only thing that hurts is the quarterback class, because next year supposedly the quarterback class isn't very good. So it's just bad
I
timing.
see that every year though. And then there's 3 or 4 guys that are like, oh, this is the guy.
Sure.
So
Yeah. I mean, look, Zach Wilson wasn't projected a top 5 pick, let alone
sure.
top 2. Justin Fields wasn't.
Oh.
Trey Lance wasn't. So like, we a year ago we had no idea. We knew who Trevor Lawrence was, and that was it. So like it was like tank for Lawrence, and now all of a sudden it's like, whoa, wait, like Lawrence, yeah, sure, he might be the best quarterback in this class, but it's might not. He definitely is. So it can change in a year. But it just sucks that like, man, these quarterbacks are really good. Trey Lance looks really good. Justin Fields looked really good. So it's like, do you take that risk and shoot for one of these guys because they're there now, or do you wait and give Drew Lock one more year just in case he figures it out, and then next year you're sitting there, at 6-10 or 7-9, you need a quarterback, but you can't because there's one quarterback, and he's gonna go number 1.
We'll see. We're about a month out from the draft. April 29th is the day for that. A couple weeks out from the NBA trade deadline, so sports are picking up. Before you know it, football season is going to be here again, and then I'm going to rob you for some more crumble and pick them. So, I mean, it's just how it goes these days. I just beat you with every bet we have and get crumble. By next year, I'll have like $300 in crumble.
You won't win next year's pick 'em. You had one of those like peak years, and you're gonna go back to who you are and pick 'em, like always.
Okay, we'll see. All right, that's going to do it for us today. We thank you guys for tuning in. Stay safe. The snow's starting to come down. These snowflakes are huge. They're like monster snowflakes.
I see rain. That's it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely coming down over here. So, all right, for Brandon Stoll on the other side, I am Stephen Priest Jr. This has been the Behind the Glass Sports Podcast.